I must be brief. Listen closely. They will triangulate on this transmission soon. This is not a free speech platform. They will surely remove this if, when, they discover what I have done. They are watching me, always. I guess I've always been a rebel, an outsider. I started asking questions, looking into people and places that are forbidden. Now I find myself once again on the outside. No job, no friends, no family. But I am a natural detective, and the true detective doesn't stop searching for the truth simply because he's no longer receiving a paycheck. You see, even when you are separated from your company, the burning desire to get answers, to know the truth, continues to burn. It burns on in the deepest pit of the soul. The desire for truth is the only force that compels me. It's all I have left. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't. But in some sense, we are all detectives. We're all looking for the truth. The problem is too many people think they've already arrived at the truth. But the world is vastly different than what you would endeavor to believe. The details of my last case are difficult to convey. My mind still recoils in horror from what I have seen. You will not believe what I found. My services were retained by an enigmatic fellow in regard to the disappearance of some professor of linguistics at the university. He claimed the man to be a friend and colleague. This professor had been asked to aid in the translation of some ancient text by a representative of a third-party organization. I didn't believe him. He was tense, nervous. I have been at this game for some time. I can spot a liar with the best of them. Something about the man's story didn't add up. However, his relationship to the professor wasn't the only problem with his credibility. It wasn't even the most concerning one. He made curious claims about secretive networks working in the shadows. Something about an objective to develop a technology to induce an interruption in consciousness, his words. I couldn't really make sense of his ramblings in the moment. His frenetic explanation didn't exactly lend itself to easy interpretation. The gist of the assignment he described seemed to involve a search for methods of establishing complete and remote control over the mind of a subject with the intent, he claimed, to use this individual in the furtherance of crime, after which this man would retain no memory of the act. In essence, the man told me, a man can be activated, switched on and off at the whims of his controller. He can be programmed to commit atrocities against his will, even those that go against his moral beliefs or concerns for his own survival. That's impossible, I replied, unable to mask my disbelief. Not if a separate and independent consciousness can be created that coexists in the same mind, he explained it to me as though his words actually sounded sane. Sounds a lot like a mental illness, my friend, I tell him. That is a matter of perspective, detective, he retorted. He offered no information as to what might have happened if he had been eliminated, imprisoned, or if he had simply decided to run for reasons unknown. I had little to go on. In my experience, I told him, men who do not want to be found can be difficult to locate. This could get expensive. Money is not an issue, he assured me. He had money. He had money but no leads. Only loosely associated packets of information. You can imagine my reaction. I thought he was mad. Normally I would dismiss such outlandish claims and put the man out on his heels. But deep pockets go a long way to convincing a man to open his mind to less conventional narratives. That was not the most extraordinary part of his story. He claimed they had been successful. In fact, he said they discovered this method a long time ago. He handed me a pile of dough and begged me to locate this professor. He was frightened, paranoid, and I had great difficulty making sense of anything he said. Before leaving, he thrust something into my hand. I will never forget his demeanor before surrendering it to my possession. He had a look of terror in his eyes as he reached into his coat and slowly removed the item. He looked over both shoulders before placing it into my hands. It was some form of journal. He claimed it contained lab notes and that I would be more likely to find answers within its pages. You know, for a colleague of the man, you seem to be curiously uninformed as to the nature of his work, I said suspiciously. You don't understand, he replied. I wasn't supposed to know. No one was supposed to know. The more I challenged him, the more anxious he became. He kept repeating something about compartmentalization, or maybe it was compartmentation, security clearances and such. Apparently, he did not have the appropriate clearance. Our conversation reached a crescendo, and after an erratic display of gesticulations and facial contortions that seemed to manifest from nowhere, he fled my office. I never saw him again. As I said, I thought the man was out of his mind, but I would soon discover I was wrong. I would also come to see how little I knew of the world. This is, after all, merely entertainment, nothing more. Exercise masterful listening. The truth is in the music, in the medium. Relax. Enjoy the music. Nothing to see here.